Right?
Okay, guys, we're now back to our book Michtav Me'Eliyahu, and we're going to discuss the various things that the author, well, not the author, Rav Eliyahu Dessler, who wrote in his letters to his students, to his son. He's up to the next point. It says the lowest level at which Zechut Avot operates. We said yesterday that what is Zechut Avot? What is merit of the fathers? It's not that I'm the son of so-and-so or I'm the great-great-grandson of so-and-so and therefore you have to give me a lenient ruling. No. We said that the trials and tribulations that our forefathers went, they sort of built this character trait within them, and this character trait, we inherited it. Now, some of us inherit very strongly, and some of us not. So he says, what's the lowest level of this inheritance of this Zechut Avot? He says, if a person has something he does not want to lose, such as a bunch of keys or a watch, he will often attach it to his body, right? By means of a chain of some sort. He has no need for the chain itself. It is only there for the sake of the object which is important to him. We might say that the chain possesses a second order of value. The chain consists of a number of links. Each individual link is of still less of value in itself. If the chain itself is a second order value, we can say that one link has a third order value. Its importance lies only in the fact that each link is needed to make up the chain. He says that a person has keys. Now, keys, he wants to make sure he doesn't lose it. So he puts a chain over there. Yeah? A lot of times he put the chain over here, yeah, on the neck. So he says, the keys is the most important thing. The chain is second important. The links to the chain is third importance. So let's understand, he's trying to build something on us. This analogy will help us to understand the lowest possible level at which Zechut Avot can operate. Yeah, he says this Zechut Avot, this merit of the fathers, how does it operate, linking it to the chain of what we just spoke about? He said, Hashem promised our forefathers that the purpose of all creation would be to realize through them and their descendants, right? Meaning the whole creation is going to be realized through the descendants of our forefathers. That great future in which the name of Hashem will be magnified and sanctified before the eyes of all mankind will be realized through the righteous Mashiach. At the end of the day, only through Mashiach will we eventually fill this gap, this chain from our forefathers up to the times of Mashiach, correct? To magnify Hashem's name. But many generations must come and go between the time of Avraham Avinu and the Mashiach. So imagine Avraham is on this side, Mashiach on this side, and now we have many generations that are going to be between Avraham and the Mashiach. All these generations are linked to one another like the links of the long chain. We just explained the chain, right? So these generations are a link to the chain. There may be individuals or even whole generations whose personal merits do not confer on them the right to go on existing. Wow, you hear what he says? He says there might be people or generations of people in this chain link that do not have merit to even exist. However, but so long as they are part of the Klal Yisrael, they will continue to exist, not on their own merit, but in the merit of the forebears and their descendants. The individuals or the generations are like links in between the chain of Klal Yisrael. They must exist, for without them, the connection between the fathers and the future would be lost. So we see one way in which a person can exist in this world without any personal zechut whatsoever. We find a similar thought expressed in the Gemara. Crazy what he says. Imagine we have this chain that's holding the keys, right? If one link falls, what happens? The whole chain falls. So he says, I need this link, even though it's not a good link. I need this link in order to hold the chain. Therefore, he says, when we have Avraham and Mashiach, and we have many generations there, we, the Klal Yisrael, right, we're all linked from Avraham to Mashiach through this chain of generations. So he says, sometimes these generations don't deserve to be alive or don't deserve to exist, but they need to exist. Why? Because they're the chain, a full chain. And therefore, if the chain drops, guess what? We don't have that link. So he says in the Gemara, it says like this: when Israel was passing the boundary of Moab, Moshe thought it must surely be permitted to invade their territory and destroy them. After all, the Midianites only assisted the Moabites in the evil scheme to seduce the Israelites into immorality. Remember the whole Moab story where the Midianites were also there. They were helping the Moabites to try to have the men sin. Moshe wanted to destroy them. Said, you know what, we're going to invade them, we're going to kill them. And we were commanded to send a punitive expedition into Midian. Moab were the instigators of the scheme. How much more should they be liable to punishment? Meaning, the Midianim who were part of the sin should also be punished. Look what it says. But God said, do not attack Moab. My thoughts are not like your thoughts. I still have two precious doves to bring forth out from these two nations, Moab and Ammon. That is, there are two great and holy personalities destined to emerge from them. Ruth, the great-granddaughter of David, from Moab, and Naamah, the wife of King Shlomo, from Ammon. He says, so because of these two precious doves, the Holy One, blessed be He, said, no. I have pity on these two nations of wicked people, and do not destroy them. Can you imagine? Imagine the Midian. Moab, he said, no, Moshe, don't destroy. Why? There's two people that we need from these millions of people who are there. Millions of evil people. Let's keep them alive. Why? We need two people from there. Ruth, who's the mother, great-grandmother of the Mashiach, and Naamah, who is going to be the wife of Shlomo. Can you imagine that? So he says, we see here an even stronger form of the link theory we propounded above. We find that Hashem is prepared to maintain in existence successive generations of wicked men for the sake of one individual tzaddik or tzaddiket who is one day going to emerge from them. A whole nation with its culture, with its art, with its science, its economy, its wars, its cruelties, its idolatries may be kept in being for centuries. To what end? For the sake of one individual who ultimately rebels against that corrupt culture and achieves a breakthrough of spirit, such as the Moabite girl Ruth, who by her outstanding act of chesed and self-sacrifice gained a place in the galaxy of spiritual giants of Israel. What a lesson in relative values, and at the same time, an extremely valuable insight into the motives and purposes behind God's control of the world. So you can imagine that. So he's saying, some people without Zechut Avot have to be there. Why? Because from them, there's going to be certain generations that are going to come out who are needed in Klal Israel, who are needed in the whole, chain of events that are going to happen. He says, through this insight, we may also gain some understanding of how to approach one of the classical problems. Why do wicked people prosper? Yeah, many people say, why is it that the wicked people are there? Why they're so good? Why they prosper? He says, what we have said above may not be the whole answer, but it can illuminate one aspect of the problem. We shall discuss some further aspects in the next chapter. Yeah? Why do I have wicked people in this world? So let's see what he says. Other aspects of God's mercy to the wicked. Okay? He says, we may often come across someone who lives a life of ease in this world, but certainly does not seem to deserve this virtue of the purity of his actions. Yeah, meaning we see a guy, doesn't do anything, and yet, easy life, everything is fine, he's got everything he needs. We usually think that what? That we have here an example of the workings of God's attribute of mercy, meaning Hashem is merciful on him. He says, no. But although it may appear to us to be so, it may well be that his prosperity is not the result of mercy at all. There is an explicit verse in the Torah that says what? He repays his enemy to his face in order to destroy him. It's a pasuk in the... He says, he repays his enemy in his face in order to destroy him. He says, this is interpreted by the Targum as stating that God pays the wicked the reward of their good deeds in this world in order to uproot them from the next world. My friend, I'm going to give you everything here. I don't want to see your face in the world to come. Don't even come to me. He says, many ask, is this fair and just? Is it not enough that the Rasha is punished for all of his sins? Must he also lose the reward of his few mitzvot by having it paid in this world? which is, as we all know, is the world of vanity and illusion and cannot possibly contain sufficient reward even for a single mitzvah. Remember we said in the first video or two, we said there is no way Hashem can reward us for a mitzvah here. Why? Because in the 16-ounce cup, He wants to give us millions of gallons of reward, and this world just cannot accept it in a 16-ounce cup. So He says, this Rasha did a couple of mitzvot. Why would you not reward him in the world to come? At the end of the day, how much reward can you give him here in this world? So He says, this is a many-sided topic. There may be some aspects which even the limited human brain can grasp, although there are certainly many more which are completely beyond our comprehension. How can a human being ever imagine that he can understand the intellectual depth of Hashem's judgment, of which the psalmist sang? Yeah, in the psalm says, how great are your works, O God, your thoughts are exceedingly deep. The few aspects we can grasp to some extent should suffice for us to realize that all God's ways are fair and just, and all His judgments are true. We shall mention here 1 or 2 points that are applicable to the understanding. He says, there are many levels of performance of mitzvot, of good deeds, right? But they all fall under 2 main headings. He says people do mitzvot, for many reasons, but 2 main headings. Number 1, where the motivation is for the sake of heaven, with the intention of serving Hashem, right? And follow in His ways. So, lishma, we're doing it because we want to do what Hashem says. And number 2, when they are done for ulterior motives, meaning shelo lishma, right? Or even if they are done because they appeal to our better nature, or because they seem the right and decent thing to do, and not out of devotion to Hashem as part of His service. So we either do things lishma, which is for the sake of Hashem. Hashem said it, I'm going to do it. Or lo lishma, not for that reason, for an ulterior reason, or maybe for a reason that's the right thing to do. Yeah, not to kill is the right thing to do. Not to steal is the right thing to do. Yeah, many people. Not because Hashem said it. It's the. Why would I want to steal from another person? Good. So he says now the reward in the world to come is described in the Gemara as the righteous sitting and enjoying the splendor of the Shekhinah. They said, you know what you're going to get in the world to come? You're going to be sitting and enjoying the Shekhinah. What does that mean? What am I going to get, a suntan? Yeah? He says, in other words, reward in the world to come means to attain sublime attachment to Hashem and to experience a great inpouring of spiritual awareness of His glory. One whose mitzvot were done in this world on a level of spiritual attachment to Hashem will find that very holiness infusing his soul with the redoubled vigor in the next world. His awareness will be heightened 1,000-fold, 1,000,000-fold, until his consciousness expands to the utmost limit possible for a created being. He says, right now, we're learning spiritual matters. He says, when you in this world are going to do mitzvot for Hashem, for spirituality, over there, when you get there, you are going to attain such spirituality. Why? Because it says you're going to radiate in the Shekhinah of Hashem. What does that mean? Yeah, he says eventually you're gonna over there in the world to come understand or try to understand, fully grasp of all the spiritualness that Hashem created and wants us to understand. But the person whose good deeds do not possess that special quality of attachment to Hashem can have no possible connection with such a reward. Yeah, a person who's physical, he doesn't care about spirituality. I don't understand this spirituality. What is this heebie-jeebie mumbo jumbo? Yeah, he says it is impossible to give a person reward for which his action possess no affinity, meaning no natural liking to Hashem. He may have done good deeds, but never rose above the level of human, meaning he did good deeds because, like he said, it's not because Hashem said it, because killing is no good, stealing is no good, being with another woman is no good, So he says, they were humanistic actions rooted in this world. Consequently, their reward must be similarly rooted in things of this world. So the nature of the reward must be precisely equivalent to the quality of his deeds. It can exist only in the same world as to which the actions belong. This thought is contained in the passage of Gemara. So that's why he says, why a Rasha is being rewarded here? Right? Because this is exactly where he wants to be rewarded. He doesn't understand spirituality. You hear? But not only that, he doesn't want it in a spiritual sense. I want physical. I want Mercedes. I want BMW. I want, steaks. I want big house. Meaning, I want physical satisfaction. And therefore, Hashem, okay, I have to give him the physical satisfaction. Therefore, I repay him over here.
Anyway, it's called Rasha.
Listen to this. The Gemara says, length of days are in her, meaning Torah's right hand. In her left hand, riches and honor. So look what he says. He says, the length of days are in the Torah's right hand. Yeah, in the right hand we have spirituality. And in her left hand we have riches and honor. Those who take her with their right hand have length of days as well as riches and honor, while those who take her with their left hand have riches and honor alone and no length of days. You hear? Length of days means the world to come. So whoever grasps the right hand, which is the Torah, spirituality, he's going to have riches and honor and so on and so forth, and all the way to the world to come. Are those who grab the left hand, they're going to have riches and honor, but no length of days, meaning only in this world. Rashi explains that those who take her with their right hand means those who learn and observe the Torah for its own sake, while those who take her with their left hand means people who practice Torah for ulterior motives. Since length of days means, as we know, the days which is all long and all good, that is the life in the world to come, this proves the point that we have been making above, that how can you reward a Rasha, or not a Rasha, but somebody who doesn't do things because of Hashem, he does things because of natural. Dilam tozeh, my heart is clean. I do what I know is right. Yeah? He says that's why he rewards him here.
No, dilam tozeh, it's important.
Very important.
But why did this person lost connection? Not because of his fault.
We will explain that here. Since there's a well-known verse, you open your hands and satisfy the will of every living thing. Poteach et yadecha umasbiya lechol charatzon. He says, this is somewhat difficult to understand at first glance, since people often want conflicting things. For instance, two people may desire the same thing. So how can God possibly satisfy everyone? He says, I've heard it said that the verse refers to the mode of recompensation for mitzvot, which we have been discussing. Hashem gives everyone what they really want. The tzaddik wants the reward for his mitzvot in the world to come. And the punishment he wants in this world, which he knows is anyway transient. Yeah, it's insignificant. It's better to get punishment in this world than over there. So the tzaddik says, no. Punish me here. Reward? I want reward over there. Why? Over there it's infinite. On the other hand, the Rasha desires nothing more than material achievements. And if it were consulted to him, what he would say? No. Give me the satisfaction over here. Pay me now. As far as the suffering? No. Let's postpone it to the world to come. Who knows if it even exists? Who knows if it even exists?
Why it can be both here and there?
No. Because the Rasha says, don't punish me here. Why? Let's wait until the end. You know why? Maybe it's not going to come. But guess what? He's back to the shir. We said what? 1%, if there is such a thing as the world to come. You just messed up, because that's going to be infinite. And this is only, 80, 90, 120 years. Yeah? So he says, leave the suffering until the end. Another explanation I have seen for satisfying the will of every living thing is as follows. No one really enjoys anything unless he has first longed for it. The essence of pleasure and enjoyment is gratification of longing. You know what that means? He says, when a person enjoys something? When he waits for it. A person waits to get married. He's waiting. He gets married. Wow, what an excitement. Why? He was longing it for a long time. He was waiting for a long time, yeah? A person is thinking of buying a certain car, and he's working hard. He's waiting. Boom, he gets a car. He's like so happy. Same thing with the house. Same thing with anything that he's longing for, right? When you want to have a degree, right? I want to become a dentist, right? How many years? 6, 7 years. When you get the degree, you're like, wow. Imagine they give you a degree right now. You're going to be like, okay. Yeah. People get honorary degrees. Yeah. Every year in graduation, they give a person honorary degree. And the guy comes, oh, thank you very much. I'm so happy. What happiness does he get? Correct? So he says, the enjoyment, the satisfaction is when you're longing. If one obtains something without having to strive for it, the level of enjoyment is likely rather low. The people of Israel said in the desert, we remember the fish that we used to eat in Egypt for nothing. And everyone knows that one who gets things for nothing is not worth very much. Yeah? And yet now our soul is dried out. There is nothing. Our eyes are only on the man. The man was free. And guess what? They didn't respect the man. They complained about the man, even though the man tasted like anything in the world. Imagine any filet mignon kosher, anything like that. Yeah, they got it for free. What happened?
No good.
We don't like it. The fish was free, but you know what? They had to catch the fish, so it wasn't 100%. But they had to catch the fish, and then because they caught the fish, they were excited. So he says the man had the wonderful property of tasting at however a person wanted. Yet because it was made available to them without the slightest effort on their part, they lost interest in it. And recalled with longing the fish that they used to eat in Egypt, which although was free, at least had to be caught. You hear? Meaning it was free, but I had to go sit there and, imagine fishing here. Whoa, I got it, so, wow, I'm excited to get the fish.
That's how I thought.
Now no one acquires a new character. No new longings or desires after death. He says, guess what? When a person dies, no more longing or new characters. As we said, character you build here is the character you're going to be with there. One who was interested in nothing but material desires during his lifetime will not evince an unexpected interest in spiritual concerns after his death. You hear what he says? If you weren't interested in spirituality here, over there you couldn't care less about spirituality. Yeah, he says, the personality one brings with him from this world is the personality one will have in the world to come. There is no more opportunity for progress or correction there, except by the corrective process of Gehinam. It says Gehinam could basically clean you out somehow. So states the verse in Kohelet, act with all your strength while you can, for there is no more doing, reckoning, knowledge, or wisdom in the grave to which you are going. Meaning, do everything here. Prepare yourself here. Do everything that you need to do here. The knowing of Hashem, the knowing of spirituality, the doing of the mitzvot. Be spiritually connected over here, because when you go to eternity, guess what? It's all about spirituality. There's no physicality there. And we mentioned before, right? If a person here is into the cars and the houses and the steaks and the women and the this and the that, he goes over there and guess what? He's looking. Where is it? Excuse me, where's the dealership? Where's the real estate guys? Where's the restaurants? And they'll be like, Toba, this guy's mamash, they won't know. What's wrong with him? But that's the only thing he taught himself here. That's the only thing he taught himself in this world. And in the world of nothing, meaning there's no physicality there, he's going to be looking for physicality. He says that person whose longing during this lifetime was spiritual and whose striving was to come closer to Hashem will have the same longing there. It follows that the reward for a tzaddik can only be in the spiritual world. For this is what he's been striving for all his life. Only this will give him pleasure. That's why Hashem says, for a tzaddik, I have to give him pleasure only there. It follows too that the Rasha can only be repaid in this world. It is for the things of this world that he was always striving for. And consequently, it's only from these things that he will derive satisfaction. So actually Hashem is giving the Rasha here his medicine, because he wants it here. So he says, try to give materialistically oriented person something belonging to the world to come, such as wonderful Torah interpretations or great spiritual insight. And you will only cause him to be suffering. Yeah? To give a person who's into physicality and everything, Torah, he'd be like, I don't want to hear that. And we have many people like that, yeah? They come into the shul, they hear a lecture, out, man. It says that experience, which would raise the spiritually minded person to the highest transport of delight, will only bore the man of this world. He will look at his watch, count the minutes, and seek the first opportunity to escape from his suffering. All these considerations will help us understand why a Rasha must receive any reward due to him in this world. Now we know why the Rasha is, getting reward here. Much more remains to be clarified in this area of thought. We shall mention only one more point. He says, we may find the Rasha being given much affluence in this world. It seems to us that the blessings are being showered on him from the high, we may think that all this derives from the divine attribute of mercy. In fact, it may well have been nothing to do with mercy. The good time, quote unquote, that the Rasha is enjoying in this world may have been completely from different origin. It may flow from the evil and impure source. Meaning, he says, when you see a Rasha getting all this goodness, don't think it's coming from Hashem's mercy. No, it's coming from the evil inclination. Hashem created in man a good inclination and an evil inclination, both of which compete for the attention and interest of human being. The Yetzer HaTov tries to influence him to choose what is right and true, while the Yetzer Hara uses his wiles to induce him to do the opposite. Each tries to show the person that each particular way will lead to pleasure and happiness. The Yetzer HaTov shows him deep satisfaction, which flows from the very fact of the flowing of the path of truth and just. It shows him the lives of the great, the holy, the wise, and points to the happiness that fills in their lives in this world, let alone in the world to come. The Yetzer Hara needs to dress up his wares much more differently. Yeah, he says the Yetzer HaTov says, no, look at this tzaddik, look how good his kids are, look how his family is. So he lives a good life here, and he's also going to live a good life there. Yetzer Hara, on the other hand, he says, no, he has to mask it over. How? He says he needs to dress up his wares much more cunningly because, after all, his message is a lie. His goods are worthless, and anyone who is foolish enough to listen to him will only have disaster. The Yetzer Hara badly needs to be able to point to living examples of people who have followed this path, having sinned grievously and still live rich, apparently content lives in this world. No, he says, you know what the Yetzer Hara does? He says, oh, look at that guy. Look at that rapper. Whoa, he's got everything. Look, houses. He's all pum, 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 pum. Yeah, he's got the jewelry and everything. Look, he's still living. He's living large. Yeah? So he says, if he could not say with some degree of plausibility, you follow me, and you will certainly have riches, prestige in the world, and worldly success, who would listen to him? In other words, the Yetzer Hara needs a shop window, quote unquote, in which he can display his wares in order to bring the opposing sides. Yeah? We're almost finished. Look what he says. So he said, Yetzer HaTov shows you tzaddik, shows you a good family, shows you this, shows you that. Yetzer Hara needs to do what? He needs to show you a maskirovka, right? But he needs to give you live example. So guess what? In order to bring the two opposing sides near to equality, Hashem agreed to give the Yetzer Hara such a shop window, meaning he's going to give him the ideals. He has provided it with an army of followers, some of whom are devoid of all merit and would not deserve any consideration at all on their own to be accounted for. Meaning Hashem will bring people into this world who do not deserve to be into this world, but to serve the needs of the Yetzer Hara, that they are given a goodly share of the things of this world. They are in unavailable position of being the army of the Yetzer Hara. He goes, do you know why you have people living lavishly and not doing anything? Because he says Hashem needs to make it look good, that the Yetzer Hara can say to this guy who is a Benoni, yo, what are you doing? Look at him. Look at that guy. No Shabbat, no Kashrut, no nothing. Living large. Look at his wife. Look at his car. Look at his cars. Look at his businesses. The money he's making. Are you crazy? Shabbat? Where are you going? Tefillin? You nuts? He doesn't even know what tefillin is. Black boxes. What's wrong with you? He says Hashem puts these kind of people, they have no merit to live, but they're in the army of the Yetzer Hara. He says they enable the Yetzer Hara to demonstrate that it is possible to enjoy the good things of this world without possessing even the slightest degree of merit. No merit, and I'm living large. Yeah? He says they are in the pay of the evil, and their whole essence is evil. When the time comes for evil to be banished from this world, they too will be blotted out. As King David said of the wicked, you will look at the place where he was, and he will be no more. He says when the time comes, when the Mashiach comes, these people will be blotted out completely. Why are they here? They have no merit at all. No merit at all. But in this chain, they have to be there. Why? To show the Benoni, the regular guy, who's choosing between to be good or bad. We have a live example for him. My friend, right here, look. He says, besides the suffering he will have to endure, this Rasha will ultimately forfeit his place in the universal scheme. Since his existence is bound up serving the needs of the Yetzer Hara, in the end, the Yetzer Hara will mean his complete and utter annihilation. You know what we're going to do with the Yetzer Hara when the Mashiach comes? He's going to slaughter him. Shchita. Guess what he says? This show window that we have is also going to be lighted. So here we have another example of how one whose good time in this world is related not to the attribute of mercy, but to the forces of evil. Of course, the forces of evil themselves are ordained by Hashem and have their party to play in the spiritual economy of the universe, but they are there to be overcome. And anyone who derives his prosperity from them must ultimately face terrible fate. You know what he says? He says what? This is not Hashem? Oh, it is Hashem. He says, and this is the scheme he wants to see. But guess what? He doesn't want you to be there. He wants you to break yourself. He says, don't go there. It looks so good. Yeah? He made it look good through the partnership of Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara has the ability. So please, try to convince this man to do wrong. He says, cases of this kind are by no means infrequent occurrences. And it is often possible to distinguish prosperity deriving from this source from the prosperity which derives from other pure sources. Here, so basically, towards the end, we said that at the end, everything in the world is connected. We have the merit of our fathers. Why? Because eventually the merit from our Avinu that's with us is going to eventually make the name of Hashem great through the Mashiach. Correct? And we need these chains, which are generations, in order to connect these. And sometimes in these generations, there are people who do not belong here. They do not have merit. But we need them. Why? So that the chain is not broken. And why do we have people that are looking so bad but living such good lives? Because the Yetzer Hara needs a show window, a live show window, to show this regular Benoni guy to choose between good and bad. The good is showing the tzaddik, and the bad is showing live example. Look at this guy. You got to be like this guy. He doesn't do anything and he's enjoying life. And is this mercy of Hashem? No. This is going to be downfall. Does Hashem want you to be like that? Absolutely not. Hashem wants you to stay straight and be following the Torah. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen.